Good day, everyone. This is Group 7, and we will be discussing thinking critically about fake news. Now, in this discussion, there are four learning objectives. First is define fake news and be able to identify its different types, distinguish fake news from real news, equip with strategies to identify and avoid fake news, and compare from existing phenomena such as parody and propaganda. I am Loriana Mariel P. Ugis, and I will be discussing what is fake news, real news, and post truth. Now, there is no fake news without information, and information is a powerful tool that can be used well or poorly. For example, a TV news broadcasting about our weather condition to mitigate potential damages and harm, or simply a text message with useful information. When information is used poorly, there are three cases. First is disinformation. Disinformation involves false claim mainly to deceive the audience. So, for example, we have an ad here from Thailand. So, the ad promotes a beauty bar soap. It is a whitening beauty bar soap, and it said, "Mas maputi, mas maganda." So, we all know it is not true. Pero they said that para to deceive the audience to buy their bar soap. Next is misinformation. This is when information is manipulated to mislead the audience. Now, compared to disinformation, misinformation contains a fraction of truth. So, for example, hindi mo kailangan ng diploma para yumaman, which is part of it is true because there are other people who got rich without diploma. Pero, not everyone. Another example is clickbaits. Person na mo pop up sa Facebook randomly like 5 easy ways to get rich. Now, these two examples, if these are taken lightly, we might think nga ad mo drop out na lang kog school para maghimo na lang pug kog kangkong chips. Which we all know, dili man jud na mao ang main idea main idea about the information, but it can lead to that. It can mislead the audience. And next is malinformation or the harmful use of information. For example, our leaked personal data or information or screenshots from private conversation. But what is fake news really? Fake news is a deliberate false claims designed to mislead the audience. So it is when disinformation and misinformation is used intentionally. So na siya intent, na siya purpose. It is designed to mislead. One example is propaganda. Celebrity endorsement is an example of propaganda, wherein they uses their image or fame to give positive association to promote a political cause. Next is hoax websites or fake news websites, wherein they disguise as legitimate news sites, but it is designed to disseminate fake news. One examples One example is abscbn.co instead of abscbn.com. Next is fake social media account wherein someone pretends to be someone else on social media. Mga mga poster in social media is one of the example. And next is digital image or manipulated images to spread false information. One example is President Bongbong Marcos Polveron video, and it was recently detected as an AI generated video. So, what is real news? If we talk about real news, ang musulod sa itong una are journalists whose main job is to provide or report about truthful information. Well, this might be true sa traditional journalism because we know nga their sources are fact-checked and credible. Well, we all know nowadays it is not that simple. Real news does not directly mean facts broadcasted publicly. One of the factor is filtering, wherein they decide what to cover because there's too much information to be broadcasted. So they have to choose what is relevant at that time or what is important. For example, TV news broadcasting about the paparating na typhoon instead of reporting about poverty. That is because it is more relevant and important at that time. Next is satire news, wherein this type of news are dual purpose. It is reported in a humorous way, pero it pero its main intent is to give a message. So, it still uses real news, pero it is not reported directly. However, it is also not designed to deceive but to entertain with a point. There's also yellow journalism, wherein they focuses on scandalous topics, mainly for clicks, likes, views, or simply to sell out their papers. They focuses more on controversial topics para mas appealing sila sa madla and mas daghang attention ang ilahang mag-gain through it. We also have partisan media. First, it may come off as advocacy or promoting conservative value or interest, pero it tends to give biases or serve a specific viewpoint. And lastly, we have democratization of news. With the rise of social media and the freedom to post anywhere, anytime, and whatever, we can post whatever, public opinions on different issues are presented now in the internet. Though it can lead to a positive impact, but it also has a negative effect. One of its negative impact is only the loudest voice can be heard. So if that loudest voice, for example, that loudest voice is posting a malinformation, which is an information that is harmful. So it can cause harm, it can spread harm. So na magka-ripple effect siya and mas wide nga audience ang iyahang maapektuhan. Lastly, we have post-truth. This refers when objective fact is less influential in shaping public opinion than appeals to emotion. So, simply said, feelings over facts. Pwede po di siya mag-refer sa tuwang beliefs and each of us has different beliefs. But that doesn't mean na walay objective truth. So, for example, mas maayo siya mag-English, it means mas bright siya. So, sa atuang society, it is instilled to us nga, if you have better English, mas bright jud ka. But we all know nga it is not true. But since sa atuang belief, it is instilled to us nga mas bright man jud ang mas maayo mag-English. So we tend to believe it and we tend to ignore what is the objective truth or the objective fact.
Hi everyone, today I will be discussing about how to tell fake news from real news using the method GRAP test. So, with misinformation spreading so easily, it's more important than ever to be critical of the information we consume every day. Why fake news is dangerous? First, fake news weakens critical thinking. Second, it creates false confidence in beliefs. Third, it misleads individuals and communities. So, fake news isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. It tricks us into thinking our beliefs are well supported when they're not, which can lead to poor decisions, especially on topics like health, politics, and science. The CRAP test. So, the CRAP stand for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. So, the CRAP test is a simple but powerful tool. It evaluates the 5 aspects of a source to help identify if it's trustworthy. So the C stand for currency, as is the information recent or up to date, relevance of timeliness over just being recent, fields like medicine and technology change fast. So currency is about how recent the information is for fast changing topics like health or technology. Older information can be outdated and misleading. Stands for relevant. R stands for relevance. As does this information relate directly to your topic? So if related ba gyud ang imong information na nakuha sa imong topic, avoid distractions like red herrings, or unrelated details. So, relevance checks whether the information actually answer your question. Sometimes content sounds related but doesn't directly help your argument or inquiry. That's why most of yun siyang i-check if related ba yun siya sa imuhang napili na topic. Kay but what if ang title ready ay ang medyo related pero like ang information inside ana na topic is lahi di ay. A stand for authority. Ask if the author an expert on the topic. So like imo i-check if kana na author is expert pag yun na siya ana na topic. Credentials and affiliations matter. Experts are not always right, but they train. So authority matters. While expert can be wrong, they're still more likely to provide more accurate information than someone na dili train ana na field. Second A stand for accuracy. Ask, is the information supported by evidence? Check for citations and sources. If verifiable facts are wrong, don't trust the rest. So accuracy is the key. Trustworthy sources show evidence and list kung asa nagagikan ang imong information na gikuha. Pero if ang source gali is like gakulang na siya og mga ebidensya kay di skeptical na, like hunahuna nagtarong if sakto ba na, if like sakto ba gid na siya na topic or like the information na imong gikuha. Hunahuna na siya taman if if like connected ba siya sa imong topic. P stand for purpose. Ask why this information created. Distinguish education versus entertainment or propaganda. Be wary of hidden agendas. So purpose looks at the intent behind the information. It is meant to educate you or to tell or to sell you something, entertain or persuade you politically. CRAP test limitations. Not all criteria apply equally to every topic. Difficult to apply for complex or historical subjects. Lay people may struggle to assess authority or accuracy. While useful on CRAP test, the CRAP test isn't perfect at all. Some topics like history or specialized science required deeper knowledge to evaluate properly. Thus, not everyone can judge accuracy or authority without training. So, other tips for spotting fake news. First, cross-check multiple sources. Use fact-checking website. Watch for emotional or exaggerated language. Beware of headlines that doesn't match content. So, beside the crop test, you can also protect yourself by comparing stories from different outlets, using fact checks, and being cautious of overly emotionally or shocking headlines. So, fake news is everywhere, but tools like the CRAP method can help us stay informed and avoid being misled. The more critically we think, the harder it becomes the fake news to trick us.
Hi everyone, my name is Aisha Grace Pilariba. I'm going to report about the 4 moves and a habit strategy. So the 4 moves: first, check for previous work. Second, go upstream. Third, read laterally. And the fourth is circle back. So move 1, check for previous work. The first step in checking information is to see if others have already investigated it. So, for fact-checking, you could check the restaurant's social media, look for new articles about local businesses' closures, or even call the restaurant directly. Maybe your friend heard a rumor, or maybe they saw a closing down sign. That doesn't mean the restaurant is permanently shut. So, move 2, go upstream. If fact-checking isn't enough, find the original source of information. Look for links to where information originally came from. For example, let's say you read online that eating bananas cures cold. So don't just believe it. Find out where the information came from. Did the doctor say it? Was it from a reliable news source or just a random website? If you can find a reliable source, be skeptical. So third, read laterally. So check what other sources say about a website before trusting it. So for example, imagine you find a website claiming a new diet pill makes you lose 20 pounds in a week. So don't just trust the website, search for the pill online. What do others' website and news articles say about it? Do doctors recommend it? If many other reliable sources say it's a scam, you probably shouldn't trust the original website. So the last one is move for circle back. If source checking goes in circle, try new search terms or checking publication dates. For example, the scenario is you're searching a supposed miracle cure for a disease. Website A claims it works and cite website B as evidence. Website B makes the same claim and cite website A. Neither website provides a clinical trial, scientific study, or expert opinion. So why it's circular? Because both websites are relying on each other for validation, creating a loop or unverified.
Now let's talk about the old school strategy. What is old school strategy? Now let's talk about the old school strategy. What is old school strategy? Old school strategy means making careful plans before taking action, respecting the chain of command, talking face to face instead of using just emails or apps, being patient instead of rushing, trusting human thinking and experience. These strategies were used in the past in war, business, and sports, and they still work in many situations today. For example, a coach tells their team to focus on basics, like passing and teamwork, instead of using new tricks. The team wins because they stick to the plan and play smart. Old school strategy means making careful plans before taking action, respecting the chain of command, talking face to face instead of using just emails or apps, being patient instead of rushing, trusting human thinking and experience. These strategies were used in the past in war, business, and sports, and they still work in many situations today. For example, a coach tells their team to focus on basics, like passing and teamwork, instead of using new tricks. The team wins because they stick to the plan and play smart. Main parts of old school strategy: planning ahead. Always prepare before doing something. For example, a student starts studying for an exam 2 weeks early instead of cramming the night before. They do well because they had time to understand everything. Using what you have. Don't waste time or supplies. Example, a small store uses only paper and pen to track sales, but they do it carefully. They don't need fancy software and their system still works. Practice and teamwork. Everyone trains hard and works together. Example, a dance group practices the same steps every day. On performance day, they move perfectly together because they work hard as a team. Strong leadership. Good leaders guide the team based on their own experience. Example, a manager at a restaurant teaches new workers by showing them how it's done. They lead by example, not just by giving orders. Real example, D-Day, 1944. During the World War II, the Allied forces planned a huge attack called the Normandy Landing. They used old school strategy. Spies and map helped them prepare. They trained their soldiers very well. Leaders gave their clear orders. They worked together to win. This shows how old school strategy helped in a very big and dangerous event. Why old school still works today? Even with new technology, old school ideas are still useful when the internet or tools stop working. People need to trust each other. Slow and steady wins over fast and messy work. In small businesses or emergencies, these old ways often help more than fancy tools. Example, a bakery loses their internet for a day. The owner writes order on a paper, uses a calculator, and still serves every customer. Their old school habits save the day. In conclusion, old school strategy is simple but strong. It reminds us that thinking, planning, and working together are always important. We don't need to throw away the old ways, we just need to mix them with new ideas.
Now, moving forward, I'm Micah Alexis Dorado, and I'm going to talk about some other important distinctions surrounding fake news. I'm going to start off with parodies. Parodies are very familiar to us, no? Because we can see them around social media and videos circulating online. For example, a parody about the song Do You Want to Build a Snowman? Or a parody about the movie Twilight. It is very entertaining for us consumers. Parody is similar to satire but relies on non-factual content for entertainment. It can be misinterpreted as fake news because it mimics real media. There was an instance that a parody of a British medical column was published, and people used it as a source of information without actually realizing that it was a parody and used for entertainment only. And if a parody is not done well enough or exaggerated enough, people might mistake it as something that is a source for factual information. Moving forward, we have what is the difference between parody and satire? Because it was stated that parody and satire are very similar. Let me give you the distinctions. Parody is imitation of a specific work, person, or genre exaggerated for comic effect. It aims to entertain and mock the original by mimicking it. While satire uses humor, irony, exaggeration also, but aims to expose and criticize societal issues. It aims to provoke thought or promote change and is more broad. If parody is more specific to something or to a specific work, person, etc., satire is more broad. Though it is also funny and entertaining, it also aims to provoke emotion from its viewers for us to see the societal problems despite the jokes. Moving forward, let me give you some other concrete examples of parodies. So, as you can see in the slide, there is PNN and CNN. We know that CNN is a well-known news broadcasting network. PNN, however, is a parody or a YouTube channel that tries to mimic CNN, but the contents are not factual. They are all on jokes or they are all not true. There is also another example of a work of literature called Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. It is actually a parody of the work of Jane Austen that was well known in the literature world called Pride and Prejudice. Moving on, we have photo and media manipulation. In our technology and in our advancing economy nowadays, it is very easy to manipulate and alter our media, our pictures, our videos, and the things that we post online. We could see pictures of altered faces, altered backgrounds, and we can't really distinguish what is real and what is not true or what is edited without actually comparing them from each other. Photo and media manipulation is editing images and videos to create a false narrative. It includes misappropriation or an image taken out to mislead the audience. Now, let me give you an example of well-known photo and media manipulation issues that was popular around the time. In the first example, Time magazine altered and darkened the mugshot of O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson was accused of a crime way back a few years ago, and this was a mugshot of him published by two different magazines. As you can see, the original picture was on the left side, and the Time magazine manipulated a photo on the right side. It made people think that O.J. Simpson was guilty just because of how the picture was manipulated and was presented. Next example is when the University of Wisconsin added the face of a black student to its brochure to appear more diverse. This was a student with the surname of Shabazz. Shabazz was shocked to see his face in the cover of the brochure when he was not initially in that picture. So the university aimed to encourage more students or more people to enroll in their university by showing how diverse their culture is. Up next, we have alternative facts. Alternative facts are false statements presented as true or verifiable, used to justify falsehood to maintain a narrative according to their interest. So the term alternative facts was actually coined and made popular by the U.S. Counselor to the President, Kellyanne Conway, on January 20, 2017, when she tried to defend the White House Press Secretary Sean because he claimed that the attendance of the inauguration of Donald Trump was the biggest of all time when it was not actually true. So let me give you an example of some alternative facts. The martial law era under President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. was a golden age characterized by prosperity and peace. this was a claim. But in reality, historical records and human rights organizations document widespread abuses, extrajudicial killings, and suppression of dissent during this period. Most people would argue that, oh my, the value of the peso during that time was very high, etc., compared to the value of the dollar, etc. But in reality, there are a lot of dark times and dark experiences by the people, by the Filipino people during that era. It was just a claim and alternative fact to try and cover up the truth. Alternative facts are usually used in a lot of politics, uh, just like this one, to try and defend and to try and justify their actions. Moving on, we have another example. This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, said Sean Spicer. This was his claim about how many people attended the inauguration of Donald Trump. Why it's wrong. Photos and transit data showed Obama's 2009 crowd was significantly larger. National Park Service and media images side by side disproved this claim. It was not really factual and really supported by statistical evidence. It was just what he saw and how he perceived the audience at that time. In conclusion, with all the technologies and with all the abilities that we are given access to, it is very easy to fake information online. By evaluating sources, checking facts, and questioning biases, we become more informed and more responsible consumers of information. Developing these skills not only protects us from misinformation and fake news, but also strengthens our ability to engage in meaningful, factual, and evidence based discussions. So, I hope that everybody learned something from our discussion today, and may we all be critical thinkers for us to determine what information is true and what information is not in our day to day lives. Thank you, and that is all. We are the Group 7, and have a great day.